Very pleased to be joined now by one CEO, Chatri Sityodtong. Chatri, what a night that was, just full of epic finishes, epic fights. How pleased are you to witness such incredible martial arts tonight?
I thought the majority of fights were outstanding. People came in with a killer instinct, displayed phenomenal technique, and obviously finishing abilities. I was disappointed by a couple of fights. One of the fights I was very disappointed at judging again.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, I thought Ekaterina won easily. She staggered Supergirl, and the judges got it wrong, and we're gonna have to work with different judges. It's just they've made errors, especially in the striking stuff. In my opinion, right? But I mean, people might disagree with me, but I thought Ekaterina won. I don't know what the judges were watching.
Have you spoken to them? What's the fallout going to be from that?
I haven't spoken to any of the judges. No, I haven't.
Is there going to be any repercussions there?
I mean, we'll just try to find work with more experienced judges, I guess. I haven't talked to the team.
That was some absolutely.
We do spend a lot of time trying to fly in all the best judges from around the world. During the tougher times when borders are closed, we've had to make do and recruit local judges here and there. We still fly in obviously some judges, but it depends on the country that
Xiong Jing in the main event. What an incredible champion! She's cleaned out the division. She spoke about not getting the knockout in her post-fight. How did you assess the main event, and how incredible of a champion is Xiong Jing? Another piece of history for her. That's 6 times now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think she is the best strawweight in the world. But to be honest, as a fellow martial artist, I was disappointed in her performance again. I think she could have finished the fight, but she didn't show gameness. She didn't try to finish the fight. These things happen, I understand, but yeah, I was disappointed.
Especially with the added incentive right now, with this bonus. We heard a few fighters mention it. We've heard Tiffany Qiu mention it. Sagid Isagakmaev as well on the mic. Who really impressed you in that regard tonight?
I'm giving out 2 bonuses tonight. $50,000 goes to Sagid. I thought he had performance and gameness, phenomenal technique. I mean, the highest level. And gameness, finishing instinct. And the second person I gave is to Ekaterina. I thought she displayed again high level striking, world championship striking. That she's obviously a world champion in Muay Thai and kickboxing. She showed gameness and she showed toughness and technique. So those are the 2 winners.
I want to ask you about Sagid some more, because as debuts go, have you seen anybody come and attack the one circle in the way he did and be so dominant in their first performance for the promotion?
Yeah, I mean, it was very impressive. When I spoke to Khabib, when we were thinking about signing Sagid, he said, Chatri, this is the best fighter at his weight class on the Eagles fight team. He said, Chatri, this guy, obviously he's trained since they were kids, but he said, this guy is an absolute animal. And when you look at the technique, when you look at, he's also a monster lightweight. I can't believe he's a lightweight. He's huge. And for him to dominate, a world-class wrestler like James Nakashima, and James has been working his grappling, relentlessly and upgraded it for this fight and still got dominated completely.
Sagid talked about James being the toughest test for him in the division. We heard him call out Shinya Aoki. We heard him call out Eddie Alvarez. What fight do you like for him next?
Either one. I mean, we'll have to go talk to the team. But I think Shinya versus Sagid would be amazing. I think Sagid versus Eddie would be amazing. Those are incredible fights right there.
Meanwhile, we want to talk about the fact that, we have a question coming in from Dylan Bowker of My MMA News. Go ahead, Dylan.
Appreciate you taking my call. I'm just kind of curious with, Xiong Jing clearing out the strawweight division. I think a lot of people maybe thought if Meng Bo got the victory, that could represent a contender. So to that point, would the next step be an atomweight title shot for Xiong Jing against the winner of Stamp, Angela?
Yeah, I mean, I think people want to see the trilogy fight between Jingnan and Angela. I will say that we have signed a bunch of strawweight, world-class strawweights, a real contender type of material. announced them yet, but we've signed several incredible female athletes in the strawweight division. So she has cleaned out the current strawweights, but there is a whole new slew of a whole army of new world-class strawweights that'll be a handful for Jingnan. But I think, one of the things I think we would love to see is potentially the winner of, Angela and Stamp face Jingnan. But again, I'd have to talk to the athletes. I really, we haven't, we just got done with the event. Plus, to be honest, like I don't know. Jingnan used to be a knockout artist, come with huge gameness, real killer instinct, and her last two performances, it hasn't been the same Jingnan. It's been very flat, very cautious and safe, which is not her nature as a person, as an athlete, and it's very surprising.
And also, just speaking of strawweight in a different combat discipline, I was kind of curious the status of that strawweight Muay Thai title, because when we were talking, you seemed keen on getting Jackie Buntan in that kind of a situation. Like, what do you think about that? Do you see like there being a rematch with Ekaterina for that inaugural title? Are there any tentative plans?
Well, first of all, I think I'm going to order an immediate rematch between Ekaterina and Supergirl, just because, again, as someone who's been doing Muay Thai for 35 plus years, I can tell you Ekaterina won that fight easily. I mean, it was not even close. So I just don't know what the judges were seeing, or, I have no idea what they were judging. Ekaterina rocked Supergirl twice, almost finished her. It was literally one punch, one kick away from finishing Supergirl. And mind you, Supergirl is super tough. I was so impressed with her warrior heart and staying power. But technically speaking, Ekaterina had more volume, more accuracy, and two near finishes. I just don't see how she lost that fight. But again, I'm not a judge. The judges have a tough job. I respect it. And at ONE, we do try to work with the very best judges across all disciplines from around the world. We fly them in, but at the same time, I know Muay Thai. There's one thing I know is Muay Thai. Ekaterina won that fight.
Appreciate the insights. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dylan. Our next question comes from the Philippines. Randolph B. Leongson of Spin.ph asks, how big of a motivation do you see the additional 50K prize being, and how big will it be for the next ONE events? Have you heard the reactions from the other fighters who weren't part of this card tonight?
Well, the $50,000 bonus, again, at a minimum, we're going to give one, at a maximum, we give five per show, every single show. And it goes across all different martial arts. So whether it's MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, submission grappling, et cetera, all the different martial arts we feature, this is really added incentive. And again, we look at it from two criteria. One is performance, meaning displaying martial arts technique at the highest levels in the world. And second is gameness, having that finishing killer instinct every second of the fight, looking for the finish and not trying to coast, not trying to play safe, not trying to, to go back to the true essence of what martial arts is about, right? As I said in my pre-fight speech to our athletes, martial arts is about finishing a self-defense situation. It's about protecting, defending yourself, whether it's on the street, in the gym, in competition. And I want to make sure that our athletes have that spirit. I mean, we have a 71% finish rate, which is the highest in the world amongst the top three major global players. So, our martial artists do come to finish fights. But I think, I want to make sure we are able to reward the very best of our roster. But at the same time, of course, I want to make sure we reward our fans.
Our next question comes in from Jason Burgos of mixedmartialarts.com. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Chatri, a great card today. I have three questions for you. The first one being, I asked you this separately. Anything new on the possible US TV deal with ONE?
So I can tell you that we're in the final stages of negotiations with three broadcasters. And we should be making an announcement, I don't know if the next few weeks, next several weeks, but imminent, we're imminent.
Since we know, great news that for ONE X is going to be a live crowd, a sold out crowd. Is there any plans to do events in 2022 outside Singapore, or will Singapore remain the home base at least through 2022?
No, we're looking all over the world again. And definitely, right now we do have plans to throw an event in the US, given that we have a US broadcast deal that's imminent. And so, no, we're hoping Omicron, eventually, I think the data shows that Omicron is not nearly as serious as Delta or the prior versions, whether it's hospitalization, oxygen, whether it's mortality rates, Omicron. But, hospitals around the world are getting flooded. But it does look like there will be a spike and then a dramatic drop off. So our team is looking not only all across Asia, but all over the world for our event schedule. We look forward to be announcing some of we look forward to be making some announcements regarding our full year 2022 calendar. All I can tell you is this: 2022 will be the biggest year in the history of ONE by far in terms of what we have planned for events and for all sorts of fun stuff.
The last question I had was just regarding, a lot of people were surprised about the whole Arjun Bowler situation. Could you give any more depth on what was the cause leading to an interim title? And is there kind of a cutoff date? Like if things can't work out at a certain point, would he possibly get stripped of the title?
He was unfortunately, Arjun's manager was not the most, how can I be very polite about this? I would say that the manager was combative and arrogant, a manager from CAA. I won't name the name. But the negotiations went up to the head of sports of CAA, Nez Balos, who is a phenomenal guy, and he and I get along very well. So, he has a very much same mindset as we do at ONE in terms of win-win. We want to make sure that our athletes are paid well. We want to make sure that our managers are taken care of. We also want to make sure that it's a fair deal for ONE. And I think, Nez has that lens. And so we have light at the end of the tunnel. I'll tell you that. But it was stuck for a good 6, maybe more, maybe 9 months with I would say an incompetent manager. But they've swapped him, but they've swapped him out. So.
Thanks for your question. Next up, we're going to go to Nick Atkin of SCMP MMA.
Hello, Andrew, and hello, Chatri. Great event. I'm sorry if I missed the beginning, so I don't. Have you already announced the bonus winners, or does that come afterwards?
Yeah. $50,000 goes to Segid, and $50,000 goes to Ekaterina.
Okay. Sorry for that. I was interviewing Tawanchai, but I don't know if you've also been asked about this double card that's coming up for 1X. The second card you said, Chatri, in your Facebook post is going to be a pay-per-view card. Could you just give me some more details on that if you haven't already spoken about it?
It's going to be a Asia-focused pay-per-view. Obviously, Asia has 4.2 billion people, and we've been studying the data and looking at the numbers, and our fan base is obviously quite large here in Asia. So we want to put a really amazing 2-part card. The first one being free around the world, 150 countries live broadcast. And the second one is an Asia-based pay-per-view.
Okay, and what was the decision process behind taking those 2 fights you'd already announced for it, before it got delayed, Bibi and Lineker, and then Tanley and Tone, and they're now going to be main event.
Yeah, it's just one of these things about timing. Gary and Tanley were supposed to fight a few times already. They both, had injuries. That fight has been postponed. Then COVID hit, and then we scheduled again. And then Gary got hurt. It was just like one thing after another. And we just said let's get this fight on, and they've both agreed. And so knock on wood that this fight happens, because they've both been waiting for each other, and unfortunately, they've both gotten hurt, and then of course we had COVID, and so it's just like let's just get the show on the road. And then Bibi was in contract negotiations for a while with us, finally concluded that, and he wanted to fight ASAP, and so did Lineker. There's a real bad blood. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's real bad blood. Old school Brazil style. They want to even fight in the streets of Brazil. And settle it that way. So Lineker says he's going to finish Bibi, and Bibi saying he's going to finish Lineker, and it's very personal. So February 11th, it's going to be fireworks.
And you finally got Renier de Ridder fight. He'd been calling out everyone, it seemed, from middleweight up to heavyweight. I think he even called out Rodtang, but he's going to fight Cameron Abasov. I can take that for the middleweight title, and I guess neither guy has a real challenger, so I guess that makes more sense to just put them both together, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. You'll be surprised. A lot of people are turning down Renier. They don't want to fight Renier. So it's been a little bit hard for us to find him an opponent. But of course, again, we are literally every day, every week, every month. We're always constantly on the lookout for the best athletes in every weight division. And so Renier will have his hands full. But yes, I mean, Cameron wanted to challenge Renier, and we thought, hey, that could be a fun fight.
And I'm getting inundated as usual on our fight companion there about questions about Ongla. When is he fighting? Can you confirm anything? Is he going to be on that 10th anniversary?
He is going to be fighting, I believe, next month.
Okay. So
Yeah.
sooner than, all right. Can you reveal? I mean, I'm presuming it's the trilogy with Big Dash, but I don't know.
Oh, yes. It is a trilogy fight with Big Dash. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, that's right. Vitali's had a string of injuries, in the past couple of years, and that's what sidelined him. But he says he's 100% healthy and he's ready to take on Ongla. And so that's another fight we've been trying to make for a while. But again, Vitali's been injured or has had multiple injuries, but now he's 100% healthy.
Okay, so is that Bad Blood, or I can't remember the names, Full Circle or Lights Out?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it is on the February 11th card, but I'm not. I have too many cards in front of me, man. And I don't. Matt Hume and his amazing team, they do all the matches. And obviously the athlete recruitment. I mean, of course, I'm involved here and there. They pull me in on for big fights or big signings, but on a day-to-day basis, Matt and his team are handling it.
Okay, and sorry if I got time. I just wanted to ask about Khabib. He wasn't on the broadcast because of COVID positive, but his guy did.
Yeah, so he landed. This is a really unfortunate thing. Khabib landed in Singapore a few days ago. He was feeling ill when he landed. He tested positive for COVID on the PCR test, and he's obviously in his hotel room right now in Singapore. He and I have been talking every day. First couple of days, he felt completely terrible. But today he's feeling a little bit better. But I mean, he's still in his hotel room. He did watch the fight. He did message me, and he was really happy with Seguid. And he also said he was blown away by the production value it won. From the stage to the lights and sound to the camera angles, and so he was very complimentary.
All right, guys, thanks a lot for answering my questions.
Nissi Isiano from IB Times.
You announced a few days ago that 1X is finally going to happen on March 26th. It's obvious that you guys put up the best possible fights to celebrate the promotion's 10th year anniversary, but we cannot deny the fact that we're still living in a delicate situation. It was very evident on the card slated earlier tonight. There were several fight cancellations. Is there any discussion right now in terms of implementing or considering new safety protocols, plans, or new ways to monitor the health status of fighters involved on that card, which will help one championship to at least keep the marquee fights intact and avoid cancellations in the process?
I wish I had a crystal ball, Nissi. That's a very difficult question. Obviously, COVID still is around the world. Omicron is the best case scenario. It's highly contagious, but it's very low in its symptoms, and it's very low in its mortality rate. So that is the best symptom. We get herd immunity as a world by having quote unquote a 3 or 4 day flu, and that makes you immune to COVID for a reasonable amount of time. So I'm quite optimistic. I have friends in the medical space, and they've told me there's a lot of optimism in the air in terms of this is how viruses adapt. New viruses adapt eventually is when they're highly contagious with low mortality. That's how you build herd immunity. It becomes effectively the flu. So long-winded way of saying March 26th, we have high conviction, but as a safety valve, what we are doing now for every single event, just because of what happened with this event, right? We had originally 12 fights scheduled. Four got knocked out because of COVID-related reasons. We are actually going to be increasing the number of bouts per event by 30-40% for every single show, so that if there are dropouts, we can still end up at 12.
All right, Chatri, thank you so much, and more power to you.
12 for our regular shows. For 1X, again, we're expecting right now 18 bouts.
All right. Thank you so much, Chatri.
For our next question, we go to Tudor Leonte from Sherdog. Tudor, go ahead.
In today's co-main event, Tawanchai stopped the #1 ranked bantamweight, and I would like to ask, where does Tawanchai rank in the division right now, considering that he missed weight for this fight?
Well, he and I spoke briefly after the fight, and he said he's done with bantamweight. He can't make it. His body's too big. So he wants to go permanently to the featherweight division.
Is there any chance he will join the featherweight kickboxing Grand Prix?
No, I think he wants to win the Muay Thai world title. That's his game.
And now that I mentioned the Grand Prix, will we see another MMA Grand Prix in 2022?
Definitely. We love Grand Prix.
And can you please tell us perhaps the weight you are aiming for?
Not yet, but you can think of some of the stacked divisions in one, and that's what we're kind of thinking right now.
Our next question comes from Chinese media, who ask, Zhang Jingnan has got her 6th title defense victory tonight. So who are you going to match up for her?
So again, we have signed several world-class strawweights that we haven't announced yet. We'll be announcing those in the coming weeks. In the meanwhile, Jingnan does want to go down to atomweight and challenge for the title. It's possible, but again, I'm going to have to sit down with Jingnan and have a talk to her. I've been quite disappointed. Of course, she is an incredible world champion. I think she's 17-2, incredible KO power, and I have the utmost respect for her as a human being and as a martial artist. But I have to say, I've been disappointed with her lack of desire to finish, or lack of desire, of gameness, killer instinct, the last couple fights.
Next up, we're going to go back to Dylan Bowker of My MMA News. Dylan, go ahead.
Thanks so much for taking my call. I was just kind of curious because I was seeing some reports going around from, Nikki Holskin about wanting to get back out there, and it seemed like something was kind of lined up in that regard. I'm kind of wondering what that next bout for Nikki would be, whether it's like a kickboxing.
Nikki's next fight has been signed, I believe. We just haven't announced it yet.
Oh, I guess that would be like a plan to like unfurl that on like a future show, something to that effect, right?
I think he's signed to fight in February, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, fair enough. And also with much dialogue about one coming to the United States, I'm kind of wondering if any like preliminary work has been done for like a one championship event in Canada, because as a Canadian lad, I think that'd be fun.
We did briefly look at Canada last year in the middle of the pandemic as a potential place we could throw an event during the pandemic. But eventually scratched it. I don't foresee a Canada event, for the foreseeable future. I definitely would love to go to Canada. Just right now, we haven't. We've just got so much on our plate on different countries, different priorities right now.
And also, just lastly here, I'm kind of wondering like what the situation is with Rug. I only ask because there seemed to be so much momentum, and then kind of the shocking ending with Grushenko. Like, has there been any dialogue about getting Rug back into the circle?
Yes, I believe Rug has been offered a fight. I may be wrong, but yeah, of course, we definitely want to get him in there. He's definitely a viral sensation. He's obviously, a monster, and he did have a controversial loss. Would love to see him back in action.
Appreciate the insights, Chatri. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have a text question coming in from Ivan Saldasheno from Dugout Philippines, who asks, you're going to open the Singapore Indoor Stadium to a full attendance at 1X on March 26th. Does this mean you're ready to go on tour again, i.e. Jakarta, Philippines, and KL?
We do have plans, yes, to throw events outside of Singapore this year. We'll announce when those plans are firm, but that is the current plan, is to go back on our touring schedule, tons of events across Asia, but also around the world.
Chatri, a massive thank you, and a big thank you to our media from around the world. Cheers for your questions, and good night.